Welcome, everybody, and welcome to Diane Walton, who is editor of On Spec, Canadian science fiction magazine. Diane, do you want to start us off by telling us about On Spec, how it started and what its mission is?
Oh, wow. It's a pleasure to be here. Um, OnSpec's mission statement has been from day one to shine the light on Canadian writing. Uh, Things have changed over the 35 years that we've been around, but back then there was literally no market, viable market for Canadian writers. Um, we were starting off with a very small group of writers that would get together for critique sessions, and they would be sending their stories off to the American magazines, and they would get these nice rejection letters back, essentially saying, nah, our readers won't get this, they won't understand this, it's really good, but it's just too obscure, or, something like that. It was just, kind letters, but essentially our audience doesn't have a clue what you're talking about. So that being the case, one night, somebody very foolishly said, there needs to be a Canadian magazine. And somebody else even more foolishly said, well, why don't we make one? And that's literally how it started. I mean, it was just one of those things where somebody said, well, it's doable. I mean, nobody else has done it, so that doesn't mean anything, but we'll give it a shot. And so we started off with that mandate saying, yes, we want Canadian writers. Now,
Were you involved in the start?
pardon me?
Were you involved from the start?
I was not the manager at the time. The magazine was under the main guidance of Marianne Nielsen, and but I was one of the fiction editors, yeah, right from the very beginning. And so it was like a really interesting trip. But that's what we did. We bought Canadian stories and published a lot of Canadian writers.
Before we talk about what you're doing now, I would
Mhm.
quite like to pick up that point you said about people getting things rejected because they were somehow didn't make sense to American authors. Do you think you can actually identify something called Canadian science fiction?
Way back then, a lot of Canadian writing, I think, was um, influenced by our climate. It was influenced by the fact that we get really cold, dark winters. It was influenced by things like the prairies. It was influenced by where people were living, literally. And so we were known, I guess, back then to write a lot of dark stories. Um, and not as many, the hero wins and walks away with all the gold and glitter and gets the girl and all that. We didn't have stories like that. Now things have changed, obviously.
We'll talk about that in a second, but I just want to mention that I noticed one of the early participants was Monica Hughes. And I
Mhm.
don't know how well she was known in the United States, but certainly in Britain, she was a terribly important young adult science fiction writer. I read all her books from the libraries and thought she was marvelous. But everything
Mhm.
you're saying about dark, gloomy winter setting in, and heroes not necessarily winning, not necessarily having those wonderful outcomes, absolutely chimes with what I remember of Monica Hughes's work.
Yeah, we were really lucky that she lived in Edmonton. We knew her probably through our acquaintances with in the Writers Guild of Alberta back then. And we knew that she had written YA, science fiction fantasy, had been well known for it. And she very, very graciously agreed to be on our original editorial board, where we were all feeling kind of like, oh, like, do we really have the chops to be able to find good stories or pick good stories? So what we did with our board members, who all were doing this gratis, and we would say, okay, here's our short list of stories. These are stories that we've picked. Do you agree with us? Are we okay? Can we safely publish these stories? And so Monica was just one of the writers that came along for the ride with us early on.
What other writers were involved?
Oh dear. Another former British writer. He was living in Calgary. J. Brian Clark was one of our people, and Dave Duncan early on. Fellow Lyle Weiss, who was a very well-known Alberta writer. Um, oh dear me, who else can I remember? I can grab a copy. Hang on for a second, and I can do that and let you know. Uh, hmm. And Candace Jane Dorsey, who is still writing and still a very good friend of ours. Let's see now, is this one going to tell me? Ugh, can't come up with any more names right now. This is terrible.
No,
Oh,
that's
here we go.
lovely.
Douglas Barber, the late Douglas Barber, who was a professor at the University of Alberta. And Pauline Gedge was also one of our original editorial advisory boards. So we picked some of the big ones. And again, they were all people living in Alberta and people that we were acquainted with. So they very kindly said, yes, we'll do it for you.
Thank you. So we've talked a little bit about the past. Tell me a bit about the magazine's present.
Oh, presently, well, things changed this past year. Like we've been publishing quarterly for the whole time. And in print. Last year we came to a point where financially we just simply could not afford to print anymore.
Right.
And so I made the very difficult decision that the 2025 issues would all be digital. And so we're still going ahead with that. And so where we go at the end of that, we don't really know yet. We're trying to sort of gauge the interest in our readership, see if we've lost some, how many are thinking about renewing, things like that. But I would love to be in print again. I mean, I miss getting my copy in the mail and opening it up and just looking at the pages and looking at the covers and stuff. But this in this day and age, I think digital seems to be the way most people like to consume their reading matter.
I mean, I know from my own experience that one thing it does allow you to do is to develop an overseas market because you're not dealing with cost of postage, you're not
Mhm.
dealing with customs and border issues.
Well,
Is
we
that
did
a
hope
factor?
that would happen. Like we've been publishing both print and digital for like 10 years or more.
Right.
And we did really, really, really hope that we could get more readership overseas. Um, the interesting thing is that the most positive reviews of On Spec have always come from the reviewers, most of the reviewers at SF Crow's Nest. And so, we keep thinking, well, if we're getting such good reviews, and so obviously you guys get us, like and the same as Canadians get us, um, then why aren't we getting more readers? But we just haven't. But again, we have a very small team. We're not that good at promotion, and maybe we just weren't tapping into the right markets and trying to really push for a huge readership. I don't know. We're not that aggressive, I guess.
Well, hopefully this promotion will actually help you. Presumably, if we just put on spec into our search engines, it will come up so that people can go out there and subscribe. What's coming up in the next issue?
Coming up in the next issue, I'm just getting ready to send stories. I've sent stories to my editors for the final edits on them. Um, I wish I had my list here. I should have been more prepared. Several of the stories are from writers that we've never seen before, which is really cool. Um, but I can't give you that many specifics on it right now, unless I have them right in front of me, which I don't. If you want
That's
me to run
absolutely fine.
downstairs and grab them.
No, no, we're good. Let's move on to something else. So we want to bring a Worldcon to Edmonton. What do you think that can do for Canadian science fiction? Is this something you're excited about?
It's exciting because I don't live in Edmonton anymore, but my daughter does. And so it's obviously a really good excuse to fly back there and for another visit. I mean, we will be visiting her again in the next couple of years or maybe next year, but um, we have so many friends there and so many people in the community, in the science fiction community, that I think it's really good for them. Plus the other writers in Western Canada, especially like there's Winnipeg writers, there's Vancouver writers, and there's a lot of people that would really get more notice, I guess. So Edmonton is a really good choice, and
You said
it's
you
a
actually lived in the
beautiful
area for a
convention.
long time. What
Yeah.
do you think is wonderful about it? What do you want our audience to know?
Um, it's a really kind city. It's a beautiful city. The River Valley is gorgeous. Um, there's historic sites around that people should visit. The Ukrainian Cultural Village outside of town is a really nice, place to see the history of how the whole area was settled. Um, and I don't know, I enjoy Edmonton. It's easy to get around. Uh, and I'm not a big city fan, so it's just the right size city, for me, I think.
A good walkable, accessible city.
Yeah, yeah.
The other thing I noticed when I was looking at your contents list and also your editorial board is the diversity of the people that you have working on spec. And
Mhm.
one of the things that I think is worth drawing our audience's attention to is that diversity can mean different things for Canadians. You talked about Western Canada. What other kinds of voices do you expect to have involved in the magazine?
Well, obviously, the editors that we've had over the years have been a variety. I mean, there's racial diversity, there's sexual orientation diversity, and just style, like the type of writers that we've attracted to us, and the people that have been on the editorial board are all so totally different. And but we mesh, and we um, respect each other's opinions, and which is how it's all, we attract people. Like, people ask if they can be editors, right? We very over the last few years, we very seldom have actually had to go out and look for anybody. People kind of present themselves, or they get recommended. Quite often, a few of them have been recommended by university professors who knew them as students and said, this person might be really good for you guys. And it's worked out.
Do you get the feeling then that On Spec is almost a community project in which the community is the whole of Canada?
Most of our people are centered in the Edmonton area.
Okay.
The ones who have left, uh, are well, I don't know, who else have we got? We've got a couple in Calgary that we knew through the university connection. We have one editor out in Vancouver who's an old friend, and she's been an editor in her own. She had her own book imprint for a while, and so it's basically an Edmonton, Alberta area type project. But here I am living in Nova Scotia. Uh,
Right.
so that, I retired and said, I'm not going to stay in Alberta. So I moved out here and I run everything remotely.
Lovely. Which of course is something we can do these days, which is science
Exactly.
fictional in
Exactly.
itself.
It's how we do all our editorial work is through email and or Zoom meetings. And I communicate with everybody that way.
We're coming towards the end of this short interview because we really are just a showcase. What would you like to
Mhm.
talk about?
Um, I think the world, a lot of like the World Cons in Montreal and Winnipeg, I think both focused a lot of people's attention on Canada. And I think it's just our turn. It's time for Edmonton to be there, uh, and show what can be done where we are. But I think everybody already, whoever was familiar with those particular World Cons, I mean, Montreal was fabulous. I loved that convention. It was grand.
Was that
And
2009?
yeah, Yeah.
Oh, I was head of
And,
program for that, so thank you.
oh, well, there you go. And but like it's just people and just the fact that Edmonton is a safe and welcoming place to be in. And in this day and age, not a bad deal.
Thank you. That's really lovely, Diane. So we'll stop
Mhm.
it there. And thank you for all your support. I'm sure people will enjoy listening to you. And I hope we will get to meet soon. Right. Bye-bye.
Love to meet you in person. I mean, I've known who you were for years. And, I see your name everywhere and I thought, okay, I've got to meet her sometime. So yay.
Thank you.